Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. We're switching over to the Matador Fan Zone. If you're watching on TV, you see one of the local legends that's on tonight. I've got Tony Wagner and Jill Schneider on tonight. That's a pretty impressive haul right there. Tony Wagner, longtime Estacado coach, and he's brought Shakur Wilbon. Wilbon?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I say it right. Kendrion Coleman.
Yes, sir.
Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sophomore?
Senior.
Okay. When we talked the other day, I'm trying to get your guys straight in my head because there's so many dudes contributing right now. The story I wrote for the website mentioned that. You guys come at people in waves.
Yes, sir.
I've been watching you guys up close and personal for 6 years. This is as deep a team as you've had in a while, Wag.
I feel like it is. I think we have several guys that can play multiple positions, so we can plug them in at any spot at any time, and so it helps with the continuity of what we're trying to do offensively and defensively.
And Shakur, you're one of the starters, so you get to be out there from the beginning, and you've had a big season. But when I wrote the story the other day, Kendrion and was it Andre?
Andre
came off the bench when you guys, I think, were down 8-0 the other day. Coach woke you up a little bit during timeout.
Yeah.
These guys came in and lit the fuse. How much does it help you guys to have guys like those two coming off the bench and doing that?
It really just shows our depth and shows how deep we are when one group's not doing right, we can sub and it would be the same. It's no drop. If we sub the starters or whoever who comes off the bench, it's no drop off.
And Kendrion, thing I liked about watching you weren't looking to shoot necessarily. You were doing all kinds of off the radar things. I think you had 3 assists, just boom, 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 kicked in on defense. What do you feel like your role is when you come in those situations?
Just be able to hustle and just go out there and get our team going and just be a spark off the bench.
Now I mentioned Coach. He even told me the other day he called a timeout because he didn't like the way things had started. And you guys, I was just telling Lee Scott that you guys, I think you scored 19 points in 3 minutes. That will knock a team. That'll knock the wind out of a team pretty quick. Wag, how often or how used to are you to seeing that from this group now? Just the explosiveness.
They've done it a few times. I mean, we've been down at halftime in some games and then come out in the third quarter and go up 15 or 16 points in the first 3 or 4 minutes. But we talk about this all the time. We have to be that. We have to be that person all the time. Against great teams, you can't allow yourself to get in those holes and play in those lows like that. You got to be that same dog the entire game. And so that's some of the things that we're gonna work on this the next few weeks in practice and with some competitive drills and stuff like that to make sure that we always competing at a high level, no matter who's out there or what's out there.
Shakur, Coach set that schedule up so you guys got a taste of that because I think this may be the toughest schedule you guys have had since I've had my website up. You guys, you're not backing away from anybody. You're playing some really tough teams. How has that helped you guys?
It's helped us prepare for later down the road, in playoffs, and help with experience and get used to tougher teams. And because during district we have a lot of a stretch where we're not playing as good competition, so that helps us get ready for playoffs. Which
the other day, Jayton is a small school, but Coach and I talked about this last night. Small school or not, those dudes could play. They were very fundamentally sound and had guys that weren't going to back down from you. Kendrion, once you guys realized that, kind of saw that it was just like any other basketball game that they were wanting to play with you. How much did that help you elevate your game a little bit?
It helped a lot. But when I went in, I got 3 shots off the bat. So Andre getting those shots in, making those coming in hot, it just helped the whole team. So it was a good job.
You mentioned Andre shooting. You and Andre ever have I don't know, do guys still play horse? I don't know what you call it.
Man, they've been around each other. I guess they started coming to my camp when they were 6 or 7 years old, and so those two have been around each other basically their whole basketball careers. So, yeah.
That's a picture I got from Al Duval.
Yeah, so they kind of been at it for a while, but it's fun to watch the growth. And then, especially with Andre from last year to this year, and then Shakur from last year to this year, and even Kendrion, he didn't really talk much last year. Now he's kind of in the groove, and I feel like he's one of our guys, and he works extremely hard in practice. The practices are competitive. You know, I wish we could show him sometimes, but I don't know if I don't know if it'll be rated enough so we could. But I mean, it's high spirited and the competition, healthy competition during practice.
It never fails. After at least one or two games this season, every season when I talk to one of your guys, they'll say, "Well, this is nothing like practice."
Yeah.
So your message has gotten through to them. So do you and Andre ever have shooting contests?
Me and Andre usually go to the gym, like whether it's like outside of practice, and he said we've been with each other for like years, and we're real close. And he's like we practice with each other. It's just like second nature for us, you know.
I've watched you enough to know it fires you up when there's another shooter on the court, because the game against Trinity is the one that sticks out in my mind. When Jet McCaslin started hitting shots, you were hitting shots. So
yes,
we're coming up on a break here. We'll be back with another segment of the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Keeping you up to date on the Estacado Matadors. This is the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the Matador Fan Zone on Monday night. First one of the new year for the high school fan zone. I'm with Estacado coach Tony Wagner, Shakur Welbon to my left if you're on TV, and Kendrion Coleman between us. Guys, we've talked a lot about the Jayton game. Let's go back before that. You guys finished third place at the Caprock Classic, which we were just talking about. You lost to Dallas Carter, but it was a good game. There was a major injury in that game that kind of disrupted things, and as coach said, probably gave them some motivation. Came back and beat Liberty, which you mentioned your district. I think you're 39-1 the last 4 years in your district, so
yes.
You guys have been king of the jungle. Liberty's a little bit different because they're going to be a team you guys know well. You've played them once this year. Shakur, what do you like about playing a team from right here in Lubbock, a district that's going to be maybe a little bit more to that game?
it makes it more fun because there's like most of those kids, so it makes it more like a game you want to win. It's just like more people there, like in the city. It makes it more like a game to look forward to.
And last year they were freshmen and sophomores, so you've known those guys especially.
Yes,
that's your age group of guys. So
yes,
what about you, Kendrion? What do you like about playing Liberty? You don't have to get on a bus at least twice, or I guess you still have to get on a bus, but you don't have to get on a long bus trip at least twice in district play.
I like how the fans are. It's pretty loud. It gets pretty loud with the refs and just everybody. So like I said, everybody likes to compete. So it's really good and really fun.
And Wag, you and Parker both mentioned this after that game. You both kind of kept your cards close to your vest in that one because you knew there was going to be two more games that had a little bit more meaning.
Yeah.
What did you like about that first game with them, and what do you want to see from you guys? And I'm not trying to get the cart before the horse. You guys have Snyder to start out with Friday, but then you come back with Liberty after that.
Well, Parker does a good job, and he's going to make necessary adjustments. So, our plan was to just go in there and play some man-to-man, some basic motion offense and try to get out of there with a win, because we may show up in parking lot and be in a triangle into,
yep.
And so he does a great job with how he game plans and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be tests, and we just make the necessary changes throughout the game to counter whatever they're trying to do.
Now, Coach can't get too mad at me because I'm an old dude, but that 39-1, am I right that one was
Leveland,
Parker's Leveland team? Mm-hmm. So he figured out at least once how to get his guys to beat you.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too where, and that was great. That was probably one of the best losses for us at that time. We ended up going to the regional tournament that year, but it's one of those things where kids, you can tell them. And but they have to really truly believe that you're telling them the truth. Sometimes they think, oh, he's saying it, but it's not going to be like that. But and so now that's why we have to make them and put them in position to where they understand that you have to compete at a high level at all times.
You guys ready for that high level starting this week, starting Friday, Kendrion? Because I know it's a district, and you guys both had mentioned that there's some games that you maybe overmatch them, but those games mean a lot to those opponents. Is that something you have to kind of prepare for mentally?
We just got to go out there, play hard, and just do what we do.
What about you, Shakur?
We can't overlook those games because they want to beat us just as bad as we want to beat them. So we can't just look over them and look past them, and we got to treat it like every other game.
I might argue they probably want to beat you worse because you're Estacado. You got a little bit of a target on your chest. This team's built for something beyond District WAG.
Yes.
You like where you guys are right now?
I wouldn't trade mines for anybody. And I tell them this all the time. I get mad at them and I fuss at them and I yell at them at times, but I wouldn't trade them for nothing. I just feel like this group and what they've done throughout the off season and summer and the work that they've put in and the hard things that they've had to do that I forced them to do, I just want them to reap the benefits of that hard work.
Remind me who you played for at Wayland?
I played for Kevin Cleveland and Cooper.
And I think we've talked before. You're a perfect example. If coach isn't yelling at you, he doesn't care. It's when coach is quiet when you start to worry about it. You guys have kind of figured that out, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Coach Cooper is now some sort of area representative of Canyon. He's left sports behind. He's a politician now.
Well, whatever he decides to do, he's going to be good at it. He's passionate. He's a real passionate person. And so, and I guess that's kind of how I am as far as our kids. I get on to them a lot, but nobody loves them like me either. I make sure that they're where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do and got the proper paperwork filled out so that they can be eligible to do other things and move on forward. But more importantly, that they're just good humans. And so, and I got all that from Mark Adams and Cooper and Coach Kevin Cleveland, just being around those guys and talking to them a lot over my career and span.
It's funny that you mentioned Mark Adams because Parker's kind of indirectly from the similar coaching tree because Mark helped coach him at Tech and then, of course, Todd Duncan at LCU. So, and Parker could shoot a little bit too. You maybe ought to take on the Liberty coach. He could shoot the ball a little bit when he played at LCU. I believe he scored had at least one 50-point game when he was at LCU.
Yeah. And, I coached against Parker when he was at Decatur. So it's kind of funny now.
What year would that have been?
Ooh. These years are starting to roll together.
Was that first regional tournament after I started the site was Decatur, I believe?
Well, we played them in the friendship tournament.
Okay.
We played them in the friendship tournament, and we beat them there. And then we would have played them in the regional tournament, but we both lost.
You got a 50-point game in you at some point, if coach will let you?
I'm going to get one.
All right. He may not need that many shots to get to 50.
That's very true. I think if I allowed him to shoot the ball 30, 40 times a game, he could get 50. But by the third quarter, he shoots it at such an efficient rate,
Like a pitcher in baseball, you got to ice that arm afterwards. So you and Andre are sophomores. Both of you are sophomores,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So you're going to be around for a couple of years. That's going to be fun to watch for the next couple of years. We're coming up at the end of the road for the Matador Fan Zone this week. We're going to come back with the Westerner Fan Zone. Saw Brent Palmer walk in a minute ago. Thanks for coming, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you either Friday or next week. Probably next week against Liberty for sure. I'm looking forward to that crowd, Kendrion. I'm kind of excited about the environment. So.
It's a great time to be living, to be alive. High school basketball in West Texas right now. A lot of great players, with Aaliyah, and then I think Shakur is going to be mentioned along those lines one day, he and Andre, and so it's a fun time.
Yep, there's a lot of good basketball in Lubbock right now. There's going to be more to come. We'll be back after the break on 100.7 The Score with the Westerner Fan Zone.